everybody! Welcome to GeekStorm. I am Mike Dukes. I am joined today by Lauren Gray. Sean and Mike are out. We're taking their spots. I know, it's a horrible, horrible thing. We're going to try our best to keep up, live up to their reputations. So how you doing, Lauren?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm great.
Good.
What is going on in the world of geekdom?
Han Solo, the movie, the Solo movie. Stuff's happening.
Yeah, if you guys haven't heard, the two directors of the Han Solo movie, they'd previously done was it Lego Batman?
They did the Lego movie.
Lego movie.
Everything is Awesome.
Oh,
movie.
yeah. Everything's awesome. They had been brought on to be the directors of the Han Solo standalone movie, and they started filming February 20th.
So it's been quite a while.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff's been happening with that movie.
And now they've been fired.
Yep.
Rumor has it, and this is all we really have, is rumor.
Mm-hmm.
You have the official statement by Kathleen Kennedy, their official statement, and even reading Kathleen Kennedy's, you kind of get the impression that, yeah, they were fired. There was no, it wasn't them saying, you know, this isn't going to work out, we're going to step back. No, it's pretty much Lucasfilm going, this is not working, you're out.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people think it has to do with the screenwriter. When I got the impression in the article I read, he's very strict in like what is written on the paper must be filmed, and the actors must do take a breath and all the little nuances that he wrote into the script, and those directors were not very into that.
I heard they really pushed improvisation on the set, and also a lot of cheeky comedy.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's their forte. If you've watched the Lego movie, that's what it is. It's all...
I mean, there have been plenty of comedy actors and directors who've turned around and done action or horror and done phenomenal jobs. But, yeah, that was my first thought when they got the gig was, are they going to try and go with a more comedic angle? I mean, theoretically, yeah, you could do that.
I think it works.
I mean,
especially
Star Wars has always had comedy elements.
Yeah, absolutely.
But apparently, Kathleen Kennedy and Lawrence Kasdan had a very set idea of what they wanted, and it just was not going that direction.
I know. I just think it's interesting. There have been a few names out for the replacement directors: Ron Howard, Joe Johnston, who did Jumanji.
And Joe Johnston he worked on Return of the Jedi, I believe, back in the day. He was in the effects department. And he most recently he actually has expertise in coming in and taking over a movie that's already been done by another director. The Wolfman, that was the case there. I can't remember the name of the original director, but Johnson had to come in, take what he had done, and kind of somehow put it together and make it work. So he's got some experience in that, and then Ron Howard, that's a big name. It's
a huge name, but like I realize that he's done action movies in the past. He did Backdraft, and Apollo 13 can kind of be action, I guess. But when I think of Ron Howard, I think of like A Beautiful Mind and just straight drama with a little bit of romance. So it'll be interesting to see his take on science fiction. Something heavily science fiction.
And it's going to be interesting because since they started in February, production was almost done. And then they had reshoots set for the summer. Are they going to keep, I mean, since they didn't agree with what has been done by the previous directors, are they going to keep that?
It's hard telling at this point. I think Lucasfilm and Disney like their money, and they might not want to spend all of that money completely reshooting a film. Plus, is Donald Glover still available? Everybody.
Scheduling would be the big problem. Money-wise, they're going to make a cash cow on this.
Yes.
Every Marvel movie, every Star Wars movie makes a lot of money.
It does, but do you want to make a lot of money this much or a lot of money this much? Which would be if you reshoot an entire film and have to... I mean, that could push a film back 2 to 3 years if you can't get all of the actors' schedules right. And
then also, you could be mired with what if. When the movie does hit, if it's not a critical hit, well, what if they had allowed the original directors to do their vision? Or what if they had no hand in it at all and they completely reshot it all? Would it have been a better movie? So
Should show it side by side.
yeah, they're gonna.
I'd watch that.
Envy them. Yeah, I don't envy them their decision making right now. And then, okay, if you're a visual effects nerd like I am, that's part of my job, my day job. Gareth Edwards did the Godzilla movie, and most recently, Rogue One. I found it's a website, it's a subscription website of online classes and tutorials for visual effects. And I was scrolling through this, the site's called FX PhD, and I see his name as an instructor. So I start looking at this, and back in 2008, he did Attila the Hun for the BBC.
Oh, wow.
There were 250 effects shops. He did them all, just him,
Oh,
in his bedroom,
that's cool.
using Adobe After Effects and Adobe Premiere. And he takes you through and how he does this, and it's guerrilla filmmaking, and that was just amazing to me. This big, huge miniseries on the BBC, and every effect shot, 250 of them. Normally you've got a whole team of people with very specific jobs. You're going to do the tracking, you're going to do the backdrops, you're going to do this. He did it all.
That's amazing. I love special effects. If you are a special effects nerd, especially practical effects in a film, there's a film called The Fall by Tarsem. He directed it. It took him 6 years to make. Came out in 2004.
Is that the one with Denzel Washington?
No, it's there is a movie called The Fall with Denzel Washington, but
I've
it's
seen
not.
that one. I
It's
remember.
got Lee Pace in it, who played Ronan in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, okay.
And he was in Pushing Daisies. He's the main character in it. But it took 6 years to make. They filmed it all on location, and there's absolutely zero CGI in it. It is all practical effects, and it takes place in this dream world. It's about a stuntman who gets injured on the set in 1920s Hollywood. So he's laid up in a hospital, and this little girl is his roommate, and she's sick with some type of disease. So he starts telling her a story to basically get her to shut up and not talk to him.
Quiet, kid.
But then the movie goes into the story, and this huge story that he's spinning for this little girl about a band of outlaws that are trying to capture this evil king because he stole a princess who's the little girl. But it's a fantastic movie, all practical effects. Some of it you're like, I don't even know how he did that without the use of a computer, because like it just happened, like stuff crawls up on the skin and you're just like, how did he do that? It's fantastic.
The Fall. Okay.
The Fall by
I'm writing
Tarsem.
that down right now.
Tarsem also directed The Cell, if you've seen
I
The
have
Cell.
seen that.
So it's very much in that vein of weirdness.
I've used that soundtrack
Amazing.
quite a few times for different games. Okay, kind of a downer. Carrie Fisher.
Yes.
We all know her, love her. There was a huge amount of empathy going forward when she passed away. At the time, it was said to be a heart attack. It still was a heart attack, but now they've come out and said underlying causes of the heart attack. The official cause of death is listed as sleep apnea with other factors. Well, they've released those other factors. And apparently within 72-hour period of her passing away, there were, cocaine, methadone, ecstasy, alcohol, and opiates, and trace amounts of heroin. That is a huge cocktail of drugs.
It is. But she never hid the fact that she
No.
had a problem. She was very vocal about her addiction. And I think the reason kind of why she turned to that sometimes was because of she was also bipolar. She would talk about that frequently as well. I think it's terrible, but I don't think that diminishes her impact in any way.
I just wondered, because she had largely, she did a lot of writing, but she had largely kind of stayed out of the spotlight. Did voiceovers for Family Guy, wrote a few scripts. Going back into the Star Wars universe, which is huge.
Yes.
That's a lot of eyes on you suddenly. And she was doing the talk show circuits for both movies, had just wrapped up The Last Jedi. And I was wondering, how is that going to anyone? That's a lot of pressure.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And I was wondering at the time, how is she going to deal with that?
Well, especially when you had the initial reports of the stupid journalists who were like, she's gained a lot of weight. She didn't age well. Blah blah blah. It's like, who cares? It's Princess Leia. Like, it's General Leia.
So, sad note, but as you said, regardless of any underlying other causes, she's freaking Princess Leia.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And aside from Star Wars, like I mentioned, I think she wrote a lot of the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles episodes. She wrote a lot of scripts,
She's a
both for
brilliant
TV
writer.
and movies. George Lucas actually brought her in on a number of things. So what you see, what you remember, that's only a portion of what Carrie Fisher did. So no matter what the news papers are saying, just remember, take that memory you have, cherish it.
Oh,
That's who Carrie Fisher was. And then also on the actor side, Daniel Day-Lewis just announced he's retiring.
I saw.
I mean, he's great. He doesn't really do that many movies. I mean, he's not...
It's not like he's churning them out
he's
every...
not banging them out at all. Like once every, I don't know.
I know. Well, when he applies himself to a role, he goes
He
all
is full
in.
on.
Like, There Will Be Blood. Was that the movie that he was in? I heard horror stories of just him being in character. Even, he just did the whole method acting thing where he was not going to break character even between scenes, and he just delved into that role. And
I heard the same thing
Puts
about
him in a-
Last of the Mohicans.
terrible headspace for a solid 3 or 4 months. And then,
I mean, he's a phenomenal actor. He's won at least one Academy Award. More than one, maybe. I don't. That's Mike's forte, Academy Awards. Don't try and get me to do those. But he's a phenomenal actor, and anytime you have an actor like that, well, he's still got a lot of years to be. He could do this sort of thing.
yeah.
So when you have someone announce they're retiring, I mean, I guess on one side, you always want to leave them wanting more, but on the other, it's kind of sad. You're like, man, I liked him in this movie, this movie, and this movie. I'd like to see him in something else. So, if you like Daniel Day-Lewis, go out and rent some movies. Okay, new Game of Thrones trailer hit. What did you think of it?
yes. I enjoyed it, although they really just want to... They make me mad sometimes because I want to see more, and then I just get little flashes of, oh, there's Arya on a horse, and there's somebody else, and there's somebody else, and you don't really see anything.
I made
and
it
I
a
get
point
that
of
it's a
pausing
teaser.
the video. You could see the Winter King has it looks like a sword made of ice. And I was trying to figure out who he was fighting. I couldn't tell if it was Jon. There was too much motion blur.
Yeah.
Even just pausing, I was like, who?
I think they specifically do that for people like you, so they can pause it. You still can't tell. The 16th, though, winter is here in July. It'll be fun. 7 episodes.
It's going to be epic.
I saw they released the episode
Times.
times, and one episode is 50 minutes long. I think it's episode 4.
But there's another,
So
like
bad.
90. The
It
last
is,
one's
but
90, right?
I want
But yeah, I noticed
so
that
much
because
more.
the article I saw it on, longer run times. I got to look at it. I was like, well, yeah, that's like 3 minutes longer. That one's actually less, the 50-minute one, and then the 90 minutes. So it's,
It'll all even out, but I'm excited to see what they're doing. I'm excited to see more information about the prequels or spinoffs, whatever you want to call them, that they're going to be doing. Still haven't talked about it yet, but
And I'm also curious because that's largely going to be outside of anything George Martin has written. It's just going to be other people playing in his sandbox.
I'm all about it.
I was a little nervous.
I want to see Robert's Rebellion. I want to see
Okay.
Mad King Aerys.
That, yeah, I do want to see that, yeah.
Aaron.
But it looks like we're going to have plenty of Game of Thrones goodness for years. And then also HBO, it's not official yet, but it looks like Damon Lindelof is coming on. He had The Leftovers on HBO. I've never actually watched. Have you watched it?
No.
Apparently it's phenomenal. I hear good things about it. It has come to an end, and they're wanting to keep him around, and I guess he's a big fan of the Watchmen. And like 2 years ago, there was some rumbling about the Watchmen coming to HBO, and nothing ever came of it. Well, now they're saying, yeah, it's coming again, and also with him attached to it. That would be a limited series.
It would have to be, yeah.
Unless you want to, I mean, DC Comics has gone on to do prequels. So theoretically, yeah, you could expand things out. But if you want to keep it to just what, man, I'm doing horrible with names right now. Author of Watchmen.
Alan Moore?
There you go. I was going to say Roger Moore. I like,
Roger Moore.
James Bond, damn you. If you want to stick with what Alan Moore did, then yeah, you're going to have a finite number of episodes, which maybe that would be a good thing.
Well, they could probably expand it out a little bit. I know I talk about American Gods a lot on this show, but American Gods, I thought that they would cut out the Coming to America scenes. Each chapter starts out with a little Coming to America, how a certain group of people or culture came to America and what they brought over to kind of signify how America is a melting pot. I figured during the television series they would just cut all that out and just do like the Shadow Moon story, but no, they start each episode with that, and they can kind of do that with the Watchmen with the pirate ship.
Yeah. Yeah, because for the movie they had to make that a separate animated thing, which probably a lot of people don't even know exists.
So they could, add that all in and do a little bit of character backgrounds, kind of show how everybody came to be.
I just wonder about when we have something like Netflix or HBO, any pay cable channel, if they get a series like this, are they trying to milk it as much as possible, thinking we want to make this go many seasons, or are they thinking, okay, we want to tell the best story we can, we're going to do this many episodes?
They have, I think even Netflix and HBO and people like that, they have a better option than what movies have, because you can only go so far in a rated R movie without it just losing its rating and then your direct-to-video dying. This stuff, they can pretty much show whatever they want. We've seen with other shows that they can push the envelope very, very far as far as everything, violence, sex, gore, all that jazz. So The Watchmen would be one of those things that you can throw on HBO and push the envelope even further.
That's actually a good point. I was thinking, the X-Men Dark Phoenix movie is coming out. That is something, there is no background for anyone who's never followed the comic as far as the Dark Phoenix and how she comes about. No movie, none of the newer movies have addressed anything. Well, I mean, we just got the new Jean Grey
and then
last movie.
Phoenix all of a sudden just...
Yeah. That is something you could definitely do. I mean, X-Men for sure. Just an ongoing series.
Oh, Astonishing X-Men television series?
That would be awesome. I mean, I get that Fox has the license and they want to keep it, so they have to keep churning out movies, but...
They're decimating the Dark Phoenix story. I'm so mad. That's a sensitive subject with me. I'm just glad X3 doesn't exist anymore in that little universe.
I was actually surprised that they got Jessica Chastain cast in this movie.
I heard Angelina Jolie at one point was in talks with it, and I was like, what is she doing? But then she dropped out or something fell through. I don't know. It was weird.
I don't know what you're doing, Fox. Just stop, please. Please stop. But they do have Deadpool. And did you see the recent photo Ryan Reynolds put?
No, I didn't. I heard
It's the front of the X Mansion, and there are two shrubberies, and he's laying in between them.
Of course.
And he said, "Yeah, I had to try to avoid any beast piles to get to the spot." Yeah. And then Josh Brolin on Instagram has been showing a lot of workout photos. He is getting ripped.
I saw him. He went to a costume party dressed as Brand from Goonies, and I loved it.
That was pretty awesome. So yeah, Deadpool, I don't know, it kind of exists in its own thing. Yeah, it's linked to the X-Men, they can reference the X-Men, but just the off-the-wall parody stuff, it works by itself. You don't have to worry about ruining anything, whereas the X-Men, there are so many good stories, and they built story upon story upon story to just take Dark Phoenix and we're going to do this.
Yep.
2 hours. Done.
Yeah.
Horrible.
It's so aggravating.
Absolutely. Did you watch the Black Panther trailer?
I did, yes.
What did you think about that?
I loved it. I cannot wait.
I did too. I saw people complaining. People
of
always
they
complain. They don't like the new costume. So I watched it again this morning. And I'm wondering, a lot of the scenes had the costume you saw in Civil War. But if you looked at everyone else, okay, you had the guys with the guns, and it's at night in the jungle, and they're looking around with flashlights, and then there's a dog barking, and you see the dog's barking at a cat. Well, it's the Black Panther. And it was that same costume from Civil War. So I'm wondering if a lot of the costume that he wore in Civil War was his father's, T'Chaka.
Oh, yeah.
And some of those flashbacks you're seeing in the trailer, that was T'Chaka as the Black Panther, and this is T'Challa becoming the Black Panther, ergo a new uniform, because he has to. There's never an easy path to being king. There's always going to be challenges.
Oh, yeah,
people who
absolutely.
think they can do it better, and that's the case in this movie. It's largely his arc of becoming either accepting or not accepting the role of king, and what he has to do to be king, rule over Wakanda, expose his people to the outside world, because Wakanda is largely just, well, like they mentioned, it's almost like this fabled city of gold. No one knew it existed other than what persona they put forward.
Yeah.
You don't see the high tech, the flying ships or anything. And the way the trailer played it off, he's kind of opening things up to the world and saying, hey, this is who we truly are. But it looked phenomenal. Action-wise, it was great. It's on par with every other Marvel movie we've seen thus far. And everything is just, every time I watch a new trailer for a new Marvel movie, I'm thinking back to every previous Marvel movie, and there's yet to be one that just feels wrong. They have a definite pattern, a definite formula and recipe of how these movies work, so each one is unique, but at the same time, you can easily see it fits into that larger
Absolutely.
universe.
Kind of like when we talked a few weeks back about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and the look of that is kind of, 80s, and now Thor Ragnarok has that same feel. They're being very smart about their marketing towards all of the entirety of the cinematic universe.
Say what you will about Disney, but man, I mean, I guess I kind of get, going back to the Han Solo thing, I get the fact that they had a certain tone, a certain feel, and a way they wanted to do things, because obviously Marvel has that. And it's kind of a well-known thing. They can be kind of draconian when it comes to their directors. If you don't agree with something, I mean, Ant-Man lost, Edgar Wright originally was supposed to be doing Ant-Man. Creative differences.
Don't you love that term?
Yeah, a catch-all term.
Yep.
Creative differences. But I get it. So, fingers crossed for Han Solo. Marvel's obviously doing it right.
They're doing okay.
Yeah. Freaking awesome. We're going to wrap things up with, there's a top 10 list of the top 10 bookstores in Indiana.
Oh, yeah.
Because we are here, Kokomo, Indiana. We're filmed live, because everything's filmed live. Just ask Mike Harrison. Here at Kokomo Toys and Collectibles, and just right down on the corner is Comics Cube, owned by our very own Sean D. Hilton. Well, this top 10 list lists the best bookstores in Indiana, and who should be number 10?
I don't know who.
Comics Cube.
Yes.
And that is awesome to me. And
absolutely.
And Sean apparently had no clue.
Yeah, he didn't.
And that's even more awesome. It's not something like, well, yeah, I'm in this. Hopefully I'll get it. I probably won't. It was just, wait, what? He found out, I think he was at Origins when he found out.
Yes, he was at Origins, and someone shared it to his Facebook page.
That's just awesome. Congratulations for
Absolutely.
what? Oh, wow. That is awesome. So congratulations to Sean. If you haven't been to Kokomo, I almost say Kokomo Comics. Wow. If you've not been to Comics Cubed, you need to go. Premier comics shop in Kokomo. Hit Geek Street. I mean, think about it. Come down to Sycamore. We got this one block here. Comics Cubed, Kokomo Toys, American Dream Hi-Fi, Black Antique, Black Studio Antiques. People come from all over, literally. I was talking to Amber and Todd a couple of weeks ago. They had like a group of 20 from all over the United States.
That's awesome.
They were a part of a Facebook group. It was a toy Facebook group. And they all decided they'd heard all about this store. They wanted to come. They made a weekend of it, rented hotel rooms, want to know what else there was to do. So they hit this, the comic shop, all over downtown Kokomo. And that's just awesome. Geek Street, place to be. And that, my friends, is it for Gist Weeks.
Gist Week.
I'm Elmer Fudd. That is it for this week's episode of GeekStorm. I am Mike Dukes. This is Lauren Gray. Next week, you may have Mike, you may have Sean. You may not. Who knows? We may have a mind flayer and a dragon sitting here hosting this show because we can do that sort of thing.
That'd be
That is the
awesome.
power at our fingertips. See you next week.